I assume everybody can hear me. Roll call wise, let's see Maurice. I see William, and Chris Mayer. Who else were we going to have? Was David Duncan in on this? You were muted, William.
Mr. Duncan, I think, is out of town and he won't be participating today.
Okay. Okay. I see Ann, Alvin from last time. Tommy's on, I guess. Anybody else? JTZ's on. Anybody else that I'm missing?
This is Christian Parrish. I'm also on via phone.
Please mute the phones if you're not speaking so we don't get any background noise. I assume that we got Ann's document out to the group. Did we get that distributed?
At least to all the committee members, at least, yes.
Okay. And we can talk about that a little bit later. By the way, I got to give a quick commercial to VADA. I know you're doing a lot of work on the ETS training that has to be completed by, I think, next Tuesday. Great job on that. And I saw that y'all just came out with a shorter 20-minute or 22-minute video on the training seminars that have to be done for all the employees in the dealership. So again, thank you very much for doing that. I know a lot of work as we all get ready for I guess the first date being August 26th on these ETS mandates. So thanks again, Ann, for all that work with the rest of your team. I've got some old business on the list here as well, but Ann, you sent out a document that I know VADA continues to push for other ways to get testing done. You sent out a document about, again, allowing the use of the practice test as a way to validate salesperson licensing. William, let me ask a question first, not knowing codes and regulations. The code basically says that salesperson test needs to be administered or passed, or how does the code read?
Yeah, basically administered by the board.
Okay, and we have been using DMV for years to pull off the administration of the test, but outside of that, it just says that it's to be administered by the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board?
Basically, but also understand that with DMV, we have an MOU in place that's signed as one of the services they will provide for us in exchange for $2 per test, and what we get in exchange for that $2 per test. And also, in spirit of the laws as written, DMV as another state agency serves as an independent group that's able to validate and verify the individual testing is in fact who he or she say they are.
Okay, so not being a legal beagle, for lack of a better term, do we have the ability to change how testing is done, and could we in fact utilize something like the practice test idea?
If you're asking me, I'm not a legal person either, but not the way the law is currently constructed. I don't think so. It could be something that the laws change, but again, I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, it's Ann Gambardella.
Okay, Ann.
I think that I would respectfully disagree in that it says the board shall administer. There's nothing that says it can't delegate that task to a third party. In fact, it has delegated that task to a third party for a long time now. The conditions under which you do that are certainly something that need to be considered carefully, but there's nothing to say that you couldn't have any other party besides DMV doing that test and administering it on behalf of the board. I don't see anything in the code that says you can only delegate it to a state agency. I think if there were, a private company out there that did third-party testing, you could do that. They just have to meet whatever requirements the board wants to put in place. So I think the code provides that now.
So if I could comment, this is Christian Parrish, and I don't 100% disagree with Ann, but I do think that the code, I mean, in saying what William said, I think what the important part to just remember is what William said in the beginning about the DMV and how they work as another state agency, and there's an MOU with your board, with the dealer board, to administer that test, and they administer tests for the Commonwealth. So I'm not saying Ann's wrong, but from Ann's proposal, my concern that I would just raise for, if you would want to speak about it, would be that it was to be administered by dealers, and that's a lot of MOUs to get out. There could be an uncomfortable level about that. I'm not saying that maybe a third party couldn't do that, but that's a lot of third parties that you're opening up to administering the exam online. So
Okay,
that's something to take into consideration.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, I'm sorry, Christian, but Ann, why don't you go ahead and just take a moment? You sent out a 4-page document, and I think the last page of it was a sample test certification kind of idea. I know that VADA has been pushing it's kind of your recommendation from the onset to look at other ways to get the testing done and to look at potentially self-administration of the test. Why don't you go ahead and, if you would, explain to the group your concept here.
Yeah, thank you. I just put some thoughts on paper. I'm a very visual person, so it helps for me to be able to sort of lay out things and see things. First of all, the reference to the online practice test is something that's available now. And in fact, that could be used by anybody. If the VADA or the VIADA, or quite frankly, the dealer board staff that's going out and doing this testing now, that could be used in lieu of a paper test, because it does the same thing that the machines in DMV do, which is it is a bank of all 73 questions, but when you go on there, it randomly generates them in order. So you could take the first 20 questions, and that's the same test as you would have at a customer service center. So that piece aside, the question and the proposal that we're making is that in producing or in allowing this test to be taken in the dealerships, the real question is, who do you have confidence in proctoring or witnessing these tests? And what our proposal says is that in lieu of having to set up a complicated system of in-person locations around the Commonwealth and go through all that expense, let's use this online test and allow, at least in the interim while this health emergency is in place, allow somebody else in the dealership to witness and attest that they have witnessed this person taking this test online, which is, again, just like you'd have on the machine at DMV. You can, screen print that last screen of the 20 questions. It shows you how many you passed. You could make it another licensed person in the dealership. We've even talked about, do we want to find some retired law enforcement folks that could go around and proctor these exams. We just think there's enough safeguards built in by using licensed people, because they're going to put their license on the line. If you've got a manager or dealer that signs that form that says, I watched this person take this test, here is their score, and you find out for some reason that's not true, that person's license is on the line. So in fact, arguably, you have more oversight over them than you would over VADA or VIADA or any other company that wants to do this, because if we do something inappropriate, I don't know what you do to us exactly, but you can certainly take action against that person who claimed to have witnessed it in the dealership.
So not only are they claiming to have witnessed it, they would have to claim that the person taking the test received no assistance.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever. And again, I just sort of mocked up some things. That was sort of my main comment before. The standards under which you allow this alternate process to take place are fully within the purview of the board. If you want to make it a checklist that, you know, they didn't have help, I checked their ID, blah, 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 you're also talking about the fact that this is the dealership that's going to be hiring this person. So, you know, they're certainly going to know who they are.
Right, right.
And again, that's our proposal in the interim. We don't feel like there's any less security in allowing a dealership representative to witness the test as there is to allow one of our VADA employees to witness the test. Or a VIADA or another company.
Right.
It's not inherently less secure in our mind.
Yeah, so what we're really saying is an unattached third party that has no interest in the test results, quite candidly.
Correct, but it's also an unattached third party who doesn't have a license on the line.
Okay, so why don't we, Christian, the legal issue notwithstanding for 1 second, why don't I leave this discussion open to the floor? Let's talk about this for a minute. How comfortable are we with allowing dealerships to certify their people? Comments?
I'll give a comment. Sure. I think the idea that Ann has for doing this online and using the online current system is a great idea. I don't know that I agree with Ann on letting, you know, the Fox kind of manage the hen house, you know. And I'm not saying all dealerships, Ann, wouldn't do it right, but I do know there are some dealerships that there's a high possibility that people would feed them, you know, answers from the sidelines, and it could become a regular thing that they would cheat the system. So I think we probably need to consider another way that would have a little more oversight and authority. That's just my opinion. But the idea, Ann, is brilliant. I like it. It's using something currently in place.
So, Chris, you're on board with the concept of online, as in picking the 73, 20 question kind of thing, having it completely online, really not utilizing a paper system. You like that idea. However, you're a little bit concerned about having the Fox guard the hen house. Maurice, comments?
I like the idea, but let me understand. So every time one person takes a test, 2 people have to be involved.
Yeah, the person taking the test and the person attesting to the test would both have to be involved.
That concerns me, the labor that's involved in it. Now I'm losing 2 people. I'm losing a productive employee to monitor somebody that's possibly coming on.
Yeah, no doubt you would have to do that for however long it takes them to do the test. And obviously, we would lose any concept of pass fails, because the only people that are going to send it in are the people that pass once they pass. So I don't know if that's an issue one way or the other, but I think on these stats, 28% of the people passed at some point, and another time 21%. I don't know if that means anything, but obviously they'll just keep taking the test until they pass, which is not a bad thing. We're really missioned as an educational group as well. How about other comments? Alvin, comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I did some homework during this past week, and I think I came to a very good solution for the problem in hand. I contacted Mannheim Fredericksburg. I contacted Odessa Auto Auction. They both have rooms available for free. It will not cost anyone any money. Mannheim Fredericksburg can host possibly up to 60 people at a time, allowing anywhere between 300 to 360 people be tested in one day.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Alvin, and I don't mean to cut you short. I was really looking for just comments on the idea in general. I was going to cover your piece in old business. I'm going a little bit out of order, but I I guess my input I'd like to hear is, how do you feel as a VA/IDA representative that this idea of allowing your dealers to self-monitor the testing process and attest to the successful completion of a test?
Mr. Cody, I feel that not every dealer adheres to the code of ethics. And I feel in both sides of both new cars and independents, there's a gray area that I feel that this testing should come from the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board, and we should find the best solution to help them be able to continue the testing at a larger sites.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wanted to weigh in on this with an opinion? William, I don't know if you have one, or you, and anybody else want to provide any input? Okay.
And Ron, for the record, no, I do not have an opinion. I think the concept and idea is a good one. My only concern, as always, is that one of the things that we are sworn to do, or we're required to do, is to comply with the law. That's my only issue. And if something the board decides that they can do and wants to do, then we will move forth with it and pursue it as if it was our own idea. But from where I sit and where I am right now, the law doesn't allow this, in at least the way I see it. So, but this is proposals we're taking back to the board for the board to make those decisions.
Yeah. No, I understand. And again, I like the idea overall. And unfortunately, I sit on the dealer practices board, and, I see the stuff that comes through, and it makes my head spin many times. And, albeit that I want to think that everyone's going to be ethical and do what's correct. And I know that their licensing could in fact be on the line. It has its merits and its challenges, and I'd like to remain on the fence on this topic and take it back to the board as well. But that being said, I love the concept of the 20 random questions. And is there a way potentially to do this without another, as we talked about in this whole process, is eliminating paper and making it more of an online process? I think there's some real benefit there as well. So, Christian, did you have any other comments?
No, I didn't have any other comments. And really, voicing like William, I don't have an opinion, and I shouldn't give an opinion, but I would just say, the code just says, and then the board does need to administer it. And I understand Ann's point, and I agree. I think the concept is good. I think, though, what other board members have raised perhaps goes to the how is this going to be administered? Is it going to be a fair administering of the exam? And, part of the administering of it is proctoring it. And those are some concerns that raised. So then you have to look to the code to say, what does the General Assembly mean by administer? And then that, yes, it could be a kind of a gray area because that's a broad term, but I think some of the issues that were raised kind of go to that question of what is administering the exam. And that's all I'd say. I mean, that's for you guys to decide, but I would just kind of relay that to the code itself.
And I think I asked this question before. Do we have any other examples of changes to how things are administered from a testing perspective around the state in light of this COVID environment we're dealing with? Has DMV changed anything, or made things a little, I'm going to just call it looser for lack of a better term, as an effort not to delay commerce and from business from going on? Is there any examples that we've seen from around the state?
I don't know of any. As far as DMV is concerned, they have an appointment system for all of their customers, and they administer several different types of tests other than driver's license or DMV issues. So, but everybody has the same situation now where they have to get the appointment on first come, first served basis.
Okay. And any other comments?
Now, again, we're just looking for a way to provide something in these challenging times that would allow dealers to get their folks licensed without, without having to send anyone to an in-person meeting, or creating a situation where we're gathering large groups of people together. We just want to make it as safe as we can, in addition to as convenient as we can.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's really, I mean, I don't disagree with what Christian said. All of the debate is how you go about administering it. What's the comfort level of the board? What kind of attestation do you want? What kind of person do you want proctoring it? Those are all, policy questions for the board to consider. And we've just laid out what we would propose as a viable solution. And we appreciate y'all taking the time to consider it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Let me transition over to old business on a few things we talked about in our last meeting. William, you mentioned that we had 2 approved background check vendors. Have we had any additional vendors added to that list at this point, or is it still the 2 that we have?
As of this conversation, we still only have the 2, but we may have a 3rd and possibly a 4th or 5th one before the end of this week. We have 3 groups that we're talking to that are very close to being, I guess, added to the list. So look for some type of announcement from us via SendPulse this week about the new additions.
And from what I understand, and maybe I'm incorrect in this assumption, correct me if I'm wrong, the approved vendors that we have right now, the 2 we have, that does not appear to be the bottleneck in our process.
No, I mean, right? It depends on perspective. They're not, as far as we're concerned, the bottleneck, because prior to the COVID issue, when dealerships submitted their applications to us for the background checks to be done, we will submit those to the background checkers immediately, and we have to wait for them to perform the task before we can license. So with the delegation of the background check to the dealerships, that's something that they can do prior to submitting the application to us. So as of August the 1st, we think theoretically that bottleneck has been taken care of, that portion of it has been taken care of.
Okay. Any other feedback from the group on that? Okay. Hearing none, let me ask another question, William. Did we have a chance to get with DMV on potentially pre-assigned slots for salesperson testing, having that discussion at all with the commissioner?
I talked to the commissioner's assistant commissioner over the CSCs last week. I sent the commissioner an email this weekend about this same conversation and about what the committee was looking for. So he is aware of the fact that we're looking for some slots at his CSCs, particularly in the, well, not particularly, I only asked for it in the problem areas, Northern Virginia and the Tidewater area, because that's where the biggest problems are. When we looked at the stats this week, we have 55 to 60% of the tests that we have proctored so far in Northern Virginia, with Tidewater region coming in second. So I asked him, if possible, if he could somehow reserve a whole 10 to 20 appointments at various CSCs in both regions, and along with some other things we're trying to do that would help alleviate the problem that we're dealing with right now. So I've not gotten any feedback yet, but his individual, Tanya Blaine, who is the assistant commissioner over the CSCs, is working with her staff to see, first of all, if it's feasible, and if so, which locations will be able to do so. I have not gotten any feedback from her yet.
Okay. How about along the lines of, we got in that discussion about utilizing email more at the motor vehicle dealer board, having secure connection, allowing for the submittal online of the required paperwork and stuff for salesperson licensing, and doing away with overnight mail. And did we make any progress on that front? No, we didn't. I mean, since last week, we've been pursuing all these other avenues in terms of trying to find places and do different things. That's something that we can do, something we're proposing to do, but we have not set it up yet. Okay, but we have no reason to believe that can't get done, and that would allow us to go on kind of the concept that we talked about last week, and I think Ann talked about as well, where they could submit electronically their information. We could do some kind of acknowledgement that we've received it, and it maybe a screen print or something like that, but at a minimum, 8:30 the next morning when the batch jobs are done running, a dealer could in fact log on and know whether or not their salesperson is licensed.
The last piece you spoke of about 8:30 the next day, they can do that right now. That
Okay.
place. Actually set up an email address where they can send it to. Remember, we talked last time we had to be a secure address because of secure email process because of T numbers and social security numbers being involved. But then everything else, we have to work through the logistics of receiving the emails, payment to all those things, information to the database. So we have not set it up yet.
Okay, but that is a strategy we feel comfortable we could potentially implement if we went.
A process that we can do, yes.
Okay. So I do realize that the 8:30 in the morning is something that can be done right now for dealers to in fact find out if their salesperson has been licensed. Maurice, did you have a comment?
Yeah, with the challenges that the U.S. mail is facing, and I know we can use UPS, we can use FedEx, but just economically using the mail system, we got to strongly look at these other avenues. I mean, they're facing some challenges now, and I'm sure they're going to be facing these same challenges in the future.
Right. Are you saying that you're going to be out on your boat? You're just going to be a write-in kind of guy for the election?
No. I got to get back to work. I'm working today.
Maurice, it's pretty bad when you're on the call and I hear seagulls in the background, okay? Would you please mute your phone? Alvin, I know the part you've been dying to talk about because I know you've done a lot of research around this. The other open item we had is the major discussion we had around the 5 geographic kind of testing locations. We gave some priority to where we thought the bulk of the licensing was occurring. We talked a lot, you and Chris, about ideas and concepts about using testing centers in each of those areas. I threw out the sheer volume of tests that occur each week and each month. You want to give us an update on that, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry for jumping in front before. As I said before, I did a little bit of homework, and I called Mannheim, Fredericksburg, and Odessa Auto Auction to see if we could use our cafeterias as a testing center. So Mannheim, Fredericksburg got back to me this morning, and so was Odessa. Mannheim, Fredericksburg has a very large cafeteria. He feels that he could probably do as many as 60 sittings at a time. So depending on what time we allowed, even at an hour and a half allowance, you're talking about roughly 360 people being tested at the same time. That will require 2 field agents at the same time to be there to ensure the safety of coming in and out. They will not be coming to the main entrance of the facility. They'll be coming into the side entrance of the cafeteria that does not give them entrance to the main building. So to ensure that everybody is safe. And then I spoke with Odessa Auto Auction with John Perhash, which is the general manager, and he said that he'll be thrilled to help on this issue to the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board and the dealer entity. So he says, he will accommodate us on a non-sale date or before the sale date, as the other auction indicated. And his facility is a little bit smaller. He says he could do 30 at a time. That still gives you roughly about 210 people on a day, give or take. I think those are staggering numbers for Northern Virginia that you can do in a matter of 2 weeks' time, one in 1 week and one in another week. I still have not gotten a phone call back from Las Americas Auto Auction, Americas Auto Auction in Tidewater over here. I tried to speak with the general manager, Jerry Dacey, to see if he had a facility to accommodate us. I haven't heard back from him. I know there are hotels that accommodates our dealer operators classes. that comes in the range from 300 to 500. But as of right now, I don't have confirmation in the Tidewater area on a free facility. Those two other facilities will be free to the use of the motor vehicle dealer board and this sales licensing people.
So, William, I have to say, you can't say free, right? You should, no additional charge.
No,
The dealer board frowns on free.
And Ron, for the record, Alvin and I had some conversations last week about, I guess the setup. And as you heard him say, my thing to him was we will work with him in terms of the facilities, but to be consistent with what I believe that the law reads or what our requirement is, that we will have to be the ones to actually administer the test. So as he said just now, even if he had a facility for the third day, we will be the ones actually in that facility administering the test.
Okay. And Odessa, is that in Fredericksburg as well?
Odessa is in Northern Virginia. It's very close to the airport, Dulles
So
Airport.
Dulles Airport?
Yeah, by Dulles Airport. Yes.
Okay. I knew that. I just didn't know if you guys knew that. So that would be that Dulles corridor, Chantilly kind of area. Fredericksburg would be Mannheim. America's Auto Auction, if you could get a response from them, might be that Tidewater area.
Correct.
Okay. And would there be a concept for Southwest Virginia or Richmond?
We don't get many for Southwest Virginia right now, Ron. I mean, Ann and Alvin might know different, but we don't have a lot of requests that we're receiving from Southwest Virginia. So far, the field reps seem to be able to handle that. The only other area that we see sometimes that comes in spurts is like northwestern part of Virginia up toward Harrisonburg, which is pretty spurty. Some weeks we get a lot of requests, then 2 or 3 weeks we don't get any requests.
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Chairman, we have dealer operators classes scheduled in the Southwest Virginia area for next year, Roanoke and Danville area. So if we have to accommodate a class, we can always cat it together to accommodate a licensing class testing.
So Alvin, just so I understand this, what is your cadence right now for dealer training? So how often do you do classes and how do you bounce around the state?
Well, the way our contract reads, we can't do more than 24 a year. So we try to accommodate 2 per month. Sometimes we do 3 in a month if we have a lot of people that want to schedule classes, and then we'll take one off and during our convention. So that way we'll move them around. So we set our schedule a year in advance, and then as we see fit during the year, we might move a week here, a week there. But we try to set the schedule sometime around in the next 2 months. We set the schedule for next year.
So when we talked last time, one of the things we said, or I said, and I don't know if the group agreed or not, is that I think we talked about 5 geographic regions that we were basically trying to cover, and that we would want to get to each of those geographic regions at least as frequent as every other week. Is that kind of what we're thinking as a team, or is that not quick enough? I mean, what are we thinking as a team?
Ron, what you're saying is absolutely correct. I think we probably need to modify that to be probably more frequently in Northern Virginia and Tidewater, and maybe occasionally in the Southwest corridor. The Richmond area has the luxury of, here in the Richmond area, a lot of the dealerships are coming into this office to do the testing on an appointment basis. But that don't mean there's not a large demand here. I just haven't heard it. But I think what you said is exactly true. I think we just need to focus more on Northern Virginia and Tidewater as far as more frequent than the other areas.
And when you say Northern Virginia, would that include Fredericksburg, or would Fredericksburg be a third?
That'd be part of Fredericksburg to me. Fredericksburg going north would be.
Okay. So weekly in the Northern Virginia Tidewater areas to include that Fredericksburg area. And then in Richmond, Southwest Virginia. How about those other quarters?
Well, the beauty of Richmond is it's not that far from Fredericksburg. So if it was in that area, people from Richmond could drive up that way. It's not that far of a drive. It's an hour plus, but they could do that. Again, Southwest Virginia, we have not, they have people requesting tests, but so far the field reps have not had an issue of meeting those requirements in the sense that they can meet those requirements and still get a lot of their work done.
And how about the quarter? I don't know. I guess it's about 2 hours south from Richmond to the Virginia border. I know there's not a lot of dealerships down there, but
Down toward Danville and Martinsville. You talking about down that way, or?
yeah, down that way, or what's the town off of 95 just before you get to the border? Anyway, just down that corner.
South Hill, going that direction.
Yeah.
Again, we haven't heard too many as far as demand like the other parts of the state that we're talking about. No.
Okay. And it as far as Alvin, the hotels and stuff, if we were to try to utilize a hotel strategy, what are they basically charging for a room?
It's ranged roughly between 300 and 450, including taxes, somewhere around that neighborhood.
Okay. William, would we have that money if we're not paying DMV to do the testing?
Basically, DMV share of for the test, if they administer the test, is $2 per test. So I guess if anything, we could propose to the board that we work with that figure, $2 per test, if we're able to do that.
Yeah. Okay. That's not going to pay for a hotel in the. Okay.
Well, it all depends. If you get 150 people show up, that's $300. So, but right, I mean, we're making plans trying to address an issue that's out there, and we have the best interest or best intent at heart, but we have 3 sessions, let's say for 60 people per session, we might only get 100 people total. I don't know. We won't know until we get out there. But yes, that's a risk though, that we could lose revenue based off of this. But,
Mr. Chairman, I think the numbers will equal out since we have a few facilities that are not going to charge us. I think the numbers might equal out.
Right. Yeah, if you can find 2 or 3 locations that don't charge and you could do a couple hundred people, I mean, those numbers add up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And we would potentially have the funds to maybe do a hotel or 2 down in the southwest corner or somewhere down there to where we could, be a little convenient to that part of the state as well. And I guess you'd pick kind of a Roanoke area. Is that what you're thinking? Okay.
Roanoke will put you very close to 2 hours from Danville, 1 hour or 45 minutes from Radford, and about 2 hours from the border, an hour and a half from the border with Tennessee. So it puts you very close to the tri-state area in case somebody needs to drive to there. So it's a little more geographically convenient to bring those people in that don't want to drive to Richmond to test or to Manhattan, Fredericksburg.
And William, in Richmond, how would we handle demand outside of getting a hotel? I mean, are you thinking that we can contain that with what we've got, the motor vehicle dealer board? Because we really can't do much testing there unless you almost do it every day.
And I mean, the field reps here, well, first of all, I'm down 1 field rep in this area. We had a field rep resign a little bit more than a month ago, but in that field rep's stead, Ann has been facilitating testing, proctoring tests here at the facility here on an appointment basis. But I'm thinking, Ron, if anything, I mean, an occasional class here, if it was at a hotel or if we can find a place, will probably be the same, but I don't think it'll be as urgent as Northern Virginia or the Tidewater area. Because again, a lot of districts are pretty close and we can get to them, but.
Right. So, but are you, I'm just trying to figure out the volume. Are you thinking we'd have to probably do a hotel once every other week in Richmond, or, I mean, what do you, and we'd handle the rest through the dealer board, or what are you thinking?
It's hard to say. I mean, we do get a lot of people in this area that are testing because we do have a lot of dealerships in the Richmond area.
Yeah, I've got to believe you've got quite a bit of demand in the Richmond area for testing. I'm sure you've got the stats somewhere, but you know, let's say we cover Northern Virginia with 2 auction houses, and we cover that area. You cover Virginia Beach if you can get American Auction to help out. We do something in that Roanoke, Danville, that Roanoke area, and then I would think you would need something in the Richmond area as well, right? Okay. And if there were, I don't know, 700 applicants a month, pick some number, 600 applicants a month, and you could do over half somewhere else, right? In a free environment, you would generate maybe $600 in revenue. Is that true? Plus the ones that you would do, let's say you did them all, right? You brought in $1,400 and you had over half of them at no charge, and the money could be used to get a couple of hotels around the area. Am I on the right track, guys? Feedback?
Sounds good to me, Ron.
Or some kind of compensation for the guy having to chair
Yes.
this thing. Okay. Okay. All right. What other old business would we have? And Alvin, I assume one more thing. If you guys are bounced around with the class, there may be days that you've already got an area at a hotel, or maybe we can cut a deal with the hotel that you normally use and kind of piggyback off of that. Maybe I don't know.
So the question, Alvin, I guess would be that end of your typical teaching day, do the students take the materials with them, or they leave them in the classroom? Because he does have a valid point. Because your class ends at 4:30, for instance, maybe we could get a group in there at sometime after your class ends.
Oh, absolutely. Our first day, actually, I usually get the room the day before for setup. So we might be able to squeeze one, late afternoon, the day before the class. My dealer operators classes are 2 days. So the second day, the first day also, we usually end around 4:30. And Chris can correct me if I'm wrong. He's one of the instructors. And yes, after that, everybody takes their materials, and we can sanitize, and we can definitely squeeze one there. Absolutely.
So your class, Alvin, is it a 2-day course now?
Yes, sir.
Is it 2 full days, or do you end early on the second day?
2 full days.
Okay. So the only time to really get the hotel other than towards the end of the evening would be maybe that first day that you get the room before you start class. Other than that, it's going to have to.
The second day we can too. That usually ends at 4:30, and you can start a class. They leave right away.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can do 2 probably. 2 1 segments.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Of Mr. Williams. This is John, Mr. Childers, I'm sorry. This is John from JTZ Enterprise. Mr. Childers, are your opinions of or feelings about the current licensing situation coming from 46.2-1511, which goes on to state that the board can do, among other things, set the qualification standards and identify those who can give those qualifications. I only go to it because 46.2-1511 is similar to the same sort of verbiage at 46.2-1503.4, which refers to the board's recertification and how they can designate who can give I go back to the recertification course, the 6-hour course that currently 3 vendors have access to. And I'm just trying to define the difference between the two.
Okay, you speaking to 1511, okay, and my concerns primarily come out of 46.2, 1512. And maybe you meant the same thing, just had the wrong number.
No license shall be issued. It sets the fee, but I don't.
The successful completion of examination prepared and administered by the board.
Okay, you're right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Let me ask you a question. So let's assume we can find these no additional charge locations and we could do some testing there. How would you register for testing? Alvin, is that a discussion you guys had last time about, or William, we have on our system the ability, how would we sign up for testing?
Well, we need to work through those logistics, because not only you have to sign up for it, but as also we got to talk about payment and other things at that particular time. I envision some type of process where if we have 3 classes or 1 class or 2 classes scheduled for that particular location, that the people be able to go on wherever they're going on to sign up for the class. And as soon as that class is filled, then that class is no longer available. But we also got to keep in mind, we got to be able to collect the money as well at the same time, hopefully. So we have to talk about that.
Mr. Cody?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman, the way we have it set up a VIADA with a dealer operators class, we have our website, and in our website, it has a registration page. In the registration page, it has the address of the location, and it allows them to register. We know how many we can register at what time, and as soon as that gets full, it won't allow them to register until the next time slot. So whoever is building the website can do this in a very fast, timely manner for MBDB, and be able to do and build that into the system, and it automatically kicks them into the next time slot, and then they need to choose from that. At that point, they go and register for it, and they will have payment. They go ahead and do the payment, and then he sends them a confirmation email with the address and everything of the location. At that point, that goes into a batch that the person that's going to administer the test can have access to it. That gives them all the people in the roster and what time slots they're going to be able and who's going to be at that class.
So we would have to pay to have modified an existing system that sits on the VIADA site?
Well, no, they will have to, maybe speak to the people that administer ours so that they can copy ours. Or at this point, they might have to call motor vehicle dealer board and set their time slots with a specific person there and do it by hand until you get the system in place. I'm sure that's how they're doing it right now, setting the appointments. People call in, they set the appointments, and they have the payments that they made to the motor vehicle dealer board. At this point, I mean, they might have to do it by hand, basically, and doing the computer. It's just something anybody can build probably with Excel spreadsheets. But if you're going to do it at this big scale with 200-300 people in a one day, I will advise that you have you set up in a website.
Yeah, okay. So this would take some type of website development. William, I don't even know on your dealer board site or, okay. I wouldn't even know how to quantify that or figure out,
Well, I'm not sure either, but I have an IT resource who's pretty good. Given something of that nature, I'm confident if we had to do it, he could pull it off.
Okay. Okay. I mean, we're talking about registration, right? We're talking about payment.
We're looking to. I understand. I mean, it's daunting. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is going to be something very easy for the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board to design. If we can do it, they can do it, and no problem. I'm very sure of that.
Okay.
We have all the confidence in the world in you, William.
So Alvin, can I document that you committed William to make this successful? Okay.
I will help him. I will help him.
What other old business, new business do we need to kind of figure out, talk about?
Well, Mr. Cody, I guess we need to, a couple things, because as I said earlier in the meeting, these are things we're pulling together to take to the board for discussion. In the meantime, I guess we will look at what we can do to develop a process for the registration and acceptance of payment, should that be something the board say let's move forth with. But we have BADA's proposal in writing, so it's ready to go. So that'll be a simple one. Then I guess we need to put together these other things in writing so that then when the board looks at it and we have the discussion, they can have something, a guide to refer to for information and to get clarity on what we're trying, what's being proposed.
Okay. So, I mean, some of these would have to be further evaluated, William, as to,
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we do not have a meeting scheduled for next week. If we want to have a meeting next week, we need to go ahead and get it scheduled today, and we will shoot for the same time slot on the same day.
I think we keep meeting. I'm sorry to interrupt. We've got a lot we have to bake here and consider as, you know, as far as what we take back to the board. You know, payment process, all this registration stuff, these are not small tasks per se. That would all be required if we're going to do something. How do you do it today with your field staff? How do people register for the testing and how do they pay? How do you do it today?
Well, I'm gonna give you a high level because I don't have all the details, but for the most part, the dealership notifies Ann, as Alvin said earlier, and in turn contacts the field rep of the area the dealership is located in and provides the field rep with the dealership's phone number and point of contact. Then the field rep contacts the dealership and they work out the logistics in terms of date and time that the test will be administered. The dealership, for the most part, will have everything ready in terms of the check cut, the application done. The field rep administers the test, and then the package is mailed in, overnight mail back here to the office for us to receive it, grade it, and input the information to the system.
Okay. So I think what we should do is, William, I think you and I at the end of this over the next day or so, let's document what the open issues are, what we need to further evaluate and investigate, and the questions that are at hand. And then I think we should meet again next week. I think we should keep meeting weekly. We're going to run out of way here because, you know, this problem isn't going to get any better in the foreseeable future. And then we can make some recommendations to the board based on, or options to the board based on what we've learned.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get some weekly meetings scheduled up, and I'll get them out to you.
Yeah, get the meeting scheduled, and then are you in the office tomorrow?
Yes.
If you and I can catch up and just kind of go through the notes, and we'll get them out to all the participants. I assume we have a way to email everybody on the call.
If we know who they are.
Yeah. Okay. So, William, why don't you give out your email address real quick to everybody on the call? So if they need to they want the information on the minutes and the notes, we'll send them out to them.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do.
It is ron.cody@Richmond Ford.
No. You got everybody on the board. How about folks that you don't have? I know you've got Ann, Tommy. Maurice is probably going to have to give you a satellite connection to get to his boat. as he pours more mixer in his cup.
Yeah, definitely mixture.
Who else on the call? Who's on the call that needs you need information on?
I have a feeling I know who I know who Phil is. I don't know who caller number 2. Well, it might be us.
I don't see anybody else that.
I think caller number 2 might be JTC.
No, I see JTZ.
Oh, yeah.
I see them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, this might be. I don't know who this is. This just says caller 02.
Is there anybody on the call that we don't know or can't identify?
Christian,
Oh, that's Christian. Okay, Parrish.
I could be
Yes,
caller
we
number
got
2.
everybody now. This is it. We got everybody.
All right, caller number 2 gets whatever's behind door number 3. Any other comments? And then go ahead and send out that meeting notice, and then we'll send out some minutes prior to the meeting that we can all review and keep this train on the tracks. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, then I will assume meeting is adjourned, and I assume we'll be meeting the same time next week.
Yes, we're gonna shoot for the same time each Tuesday.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you.